And okay, today we are going to look at inverses of functions and how to graph them. So graphing functions and their inverses. So the first thing to note, for a function to have an inverse, it must be a bijective function. Okay, so if the function is not bijective, it will not have an inverse. Here we can see, because obviously if the inverse of a function is its reverse, well, if this is mapped onto this one, the reverse of that will be mapping it back, and likewise here. So it has to be one-to-one, because if, for example, we had another function here that went onto that, that was mapped onto here, this function here does not know whether it's going to here or to here. Okay? Similarly, so it has to be one-to-one. The reason it has to be bijective is if I had, or it has to be surjective, is if I had a spare element here and all of these are now, all the elements here are now being mapped onto, back onto A. So this knows to go here, this one knows to go here, this one knows to go here. This element here doesn't know where to go. So for a function to have an inverse, it has to be bijective. So it has to be both injective and surjective. Okay, so that's the first thing. So we're just going to work through this example here. We're given this function g, where g of x is equal to 12 minus 4x divided by 3, and we're to find the inverse of g inverse. So the first thing we have, we're going to say, let g of x equal to y. And we're going to say that that is equal to 12 minus 4x all over 3. And so we are now going to get x in terms of y. Okay, so that's all we have to do, is get x in terms of y. So for us here, that's going to be, well, 3y is equal to 12 minus 4x. 3y minus 12 is equal to minus 4x. And so getting x on its own, we're going to have 3y minus 12 divided by minus 4 is equal to x. And again, I could tidy that up a little bit better by saying just the minus on top. So that's going to be minus 3y plus 12 divided by 4 is equal to x. Okay, and so just to finish off then, so to have our x's as our inputs in our both functions, we'll say it's equal to minus 3 times x plus 12 all over 4. So we have x inputs in both our function itself, g of x, and in the inverse of the function. So that's why we just switch back here. Okay, so now for part 2, we're asked to test the result using x equal to 2. So the first thing that we're going to do is find g of 2. So we're told g of x was 12 minus 4, and instead of x, I'm going to write in 2 divided by 3. So that's 12 minus 8 over 3, which is equal to 4 over 3. So that is our g of 2. So now, to see if this is correct, we will do g inverse of 4 over 3, and if it's right, we'll get 2 as our answer. So subbing into our g inverse, I have as 4 over 3, so I have minus 3 times 4 over 3 plus 12, and that's all divided by 4. So well, minus 3 times 4 over 3 is going to give us minus 4, plus 12 is 8 divided by 4, and 8 divided by 4 is going to give us 2. So we can see here that g inverse of 4 over 3 was equal to 2, and so our result is correct. We've proven, or we've just shown, demonstrated, that our function g inverse of x is indeed the inverse of g of x. Here in part 3, we are asked to show that g of g inverse of x is equal to g inverse of g of x. So that's basically g of g inverse of x. That's the first part we're going to work out. So it's like that, just with brackets around it. So if I have g, well, what is g inverse of x? Well, we had solved g inverse of x and we had found it to be minus 3x plus 12 all over 4. So now this is my function here basically. So if I have g of x, I know that g of x is equal to 12 minus 4. Well, instead of x, what am I going to write in but g inverse of x? So here I have minus 3x plus 12 all over 4. And that's all been divided by 3. Okay, and so we'll work that out. Well, straight away I can see that this 4 cancels with this 4, so I have 12 minus 3x is plus 3x. Minus 12, which is divided by 3. Again, this 12 is going to cancel with the minus 12. And so 3x divided by 3 is going to be equal to x. Okay, so if we do the reverse, then we have just shown that it is true. G inverse g of x is going to be equal to, well, what was g of x? G of x was 12 minus 4x over 3. And so if we look now, what was g inverse of x? G inverse of x was equal to minus 3x, but obviously instead of x, I'm now writing in my 12 minus 4x all over 3. And so it's 12 minus 4x over 3. So minus 3x plus 12 all to be divided by 4. So again, I can see this minus 3 and this 3 are going to cancel. So I'm going to have minus by 12 is minus 12. Minus by minus 4x is going to be plus 4x. Outside the bracket I have plus 12, and that's all over 4. So again, minus 12 and plus 12 are going to cancel, and 4x divided by 4 is going to be equal to x. And lo and behold, so g of g inverse of x is equal to g inverse of g of x. And they're both equal to x. Okay? And in fact, always the inverse or g of g inverse of x will always give us x. Likewise, g inverse of g of x will always give us x as well. So that's a rule with functions and their inverses. Okay, and so the last thing today we're going to look at very briefly is graphing functions and their inverses. So here we're given the function x squared plus 2 for x beginning at f. The range is from 0 to infinity, obviously. We just have the positive side of the x squared plus 2 graph. And we're asked to sketch the inverse of that function. So just like we saw in the last because every point along the line x equal to y, they're all the same coordinates. We can see that there. 4 is 4, 5 and 5, etc. Okay, so now all we need to do is to find our distances and translate them out the other side. So here with my ruler, I can see, okay, so here on my little straight edge here, I can see if I go from this point here back, well then I want to continue on in that same translation for the same distance. So here I can see that it is just short of make that just a bit more accurate there. And so with my straight edge, I'll continue to mark that out. So that's going to go to there. And I'm just going to do this at another 2 or 3 points. And I'm going to try and pick ones that are nice for me. So if I move my straight edge straight up along here, I can see I've kind of one box there that I'm going to cross the diagonal. So here, if I go dash, 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 I'm going to be going out the other side as far as here. Likewise, I might go up now to this lovely point here, and I would continue to try and work through those, and obviously to keep my angle my straight edge correct. Okay, and so I can put in those dashes here now, and so I can see I've gone 2 boxes, so I'm going to do the exact same here. Okay, and maybe we might try one more. And in fact, if I go, there's no nicer ones really, so I'm just going to go take any of them here, and we'll go with a different colour again. So now, obviously, there's no measurements on this ruler, but if we count it up, we can see I have 4.5 centimetres there, so I need to come 4.5 out the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and it should end up just right there. Okay, so that's where we are going to finish with our straight edge, and now all we do is sketch in that line that we have. So here we're starting off, and it curves something like that. And so if this is going to be f inverse of x, because our original line, our green line, that was f of x. So really it's just like doing a line, putting in our line of symmetry and rotating something about that line of symmetry. That's really how we sketch the inverse of a function. Okay, so there you have it. So please get these notes down into your copy, and we will have some questions on Schoology then as learning check.